Hello, everyone. This is JJ from Keyword Crypto. This is the second part of an interview that we did with Daniel Krawisz. Daniel Krawisz is a software engineer and a YouTuber. He's the creator of the show Bitcoin Stuff that you should check out. Please take a listen to the last episode that we published. That will be the part one with Daniel Krawisz. That way you'll know what we're talking about. The beginning of this show is a little bit awkward because Daniel is giving us an answer to a question that we don't particularly believe, but we're trying to be respectful, and that's why you're going to hear some kind of dead air and silence and just awkward conversation for a bit. But it does pick up, and a lot of ideas start to flow, so it's just stick around for a little bit. As usual, please support the show. Please visit our website at www.keyword-crypto.com. That's keyword-crypto. Follow us on Twitter at keywordcrypto. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot and enjoy the show.
Did you go on the record saying whether you believe Craig Wright is Satoshi or not?
No, but I believe he is.
Man, he must be making a very creative decision to talk the way he's talking right now. It just seems like an odd song and dance for him to do.
Yeah, I guess my question for you is that since he created a system that, he created a system and then he wrote a white paper for it, and then he's doing something with SV that seems to be completely contradictory to that white paper. And I know people change over time, but
involving courts, making a legal version of Bitcoin, and maybe that's just something that is being put out there so it appeases some people. I mean, that's what I'm assuming.
Okay, how is it?
Because the original white paper is all about being an antithesis for the banks, a currency that doesn't need regulation, that doesn't need bankers, that doesn't need third-party members for people to transact. And an SV is all about being adopted by governments and being government, approved and.
Are we wrong?
Oh, okay. Well, so what the white paper says is a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. So, right now you need, in the dollar economy, you need a central third party to transmit money. But with Bitcoin, you have a network that no single party controls. So that's not the same thing as being illegal or anti-bank.
I mean, isn't the whole purpose of a bank is to create, kind of like what Liquid is doing with Blockstream, is create a way to make money by forcing people not to use the chain as it was originally intended. That's how they make their money, is by transferring funds back and forth and taking a cut every single time and never truly putting it on the main chain.
There are other things that banks can do. So a bank can keep your money safe without doing anything else with it for a fee, for example. And when you send crypto or dollars to an exchange, when you do your trading, they're acting like a bank. They're sad because that you have money on account with them that that you use for trading. So the fact that Bitcoin exists does not mean that there won't be any more banks, but it means that the the activity of the bank is going to be more limited, because we don't need the bank to be a third party all the time.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So if Craig is Satoshi then, and he creates SV, isn't it coming up against the same Byzantine issue that the first two did?
How so?
Or has he solved the problem that Bitcoin hasn't been able to solve with Lightning Network?
Well, Bitcoin is the solution to the problem that Blockstream hasn't been able to solve. And BSV is simply Bitcoin, where we're trying to have big blocks that are full of lots of information. So we're actually trying to grow the economy. That's all it is. It's just the original rules of Bitcoin plus a lot of people who are actually trying to grow the economy.
Okay, I'm confused, and maybe it's because I took a leap. Maybe I took a step when I shouldn't have. But you said Bitcoin was a scam. Are you saying the current form of Bitcoin under Blockstream and Liquid and Lightning Network?
Right. So BTC is pretending to be Bitcoin. So that's why they have a high market cap now. Is that the BTC version of Bitcoin doesn't work the way that Bitcoin is supposed to. So it's actually much less valuable than the correct version of Bitcoin, or I should say, it's an idea that has a lower expected future value. And the only reason its market value is big now is that the people who are trading it haven't figured out that it's never really going to work. So when I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm just talking about BSV, because that's the one that's actually like Bitcoin.
My question about Craig Wright is, so if what you're saying is true, then are all of his interviews and his lectures a persona? Is he just putting on something for people? And if so, where did he learn to do that, and why? What is his incentive besides profit? And if it's just profit, why does he go on these tours?
Well, I think that there are two ways of looking at profit in Bitcoin, because you can think about there are things that will earn you more Bitcoins, and there are other things that will make the Bitcoins you have more valuable. And so you have to optimize between these two things. And and the activities that earn profit are all they're all things that also make Bitcoin more valuable, because profit seeking is about finding new ways of cooperating. Because if you can figure out how to do something that somebody else isn't doing yet, then you can earn more. And at the same time, you make the Bitcoin economy better, because there's a new service that people can use in it. So when everybody...
This is kind of creepy, because me and JJ went down a rabbit hole like last week or the week before about Craig Wright could be doing all this just to pump the value of BTC, because he probably holds so much of it. And this is all just kind of an act.
That was a hypothetical, but it was something we joked around with.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know what his plan is, because I don't really know him all that well.
Have you met him?
Yes, I've had a few very brief conversations with him. But you may have to get him on your show yourself to ask these things. But I think that he is he's deliberately creating confusion so as to distract people from his real plan.
It seems like a lot of theory in there, at least for me to believe, just because so much would have to be calculated and then performed, which I think is a difficult thing to do unless you're a great performer. And then that also would mean that Craig Wright, from the beginning, would have created Bitcoin just to get rich rather than to create a new peer-to-peer cash, which maybe he did, and maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's
why, but that's those.
Maybe
Well, yeah, I mean,
maybe that's profit seeking is profit seeking.
Yeah, I mean,
right. But still,
well, if you figure out something as great as a new peer-to-peer cash, I think that you're probably going to get rich off of that. That's a good reason to do it, I think, because it makes.
So we compared him to Donald Trump because Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump has a high IQ, and I just think he instinctually knows how to manipulate people and to make money off of that. And so Craig Wright, throw in high IQ Craig Wright, and that could be like a recipe for disaster of just trying to make money and not caring who he hurts along the way.
Well, but in Bitcoin, when you have Bitcoin, you're invested in the other investors. So the way to people who know how to improve the value of Bitcoin must be able to think about what other people need. So people who are good at profit seeking in Bitcoin are really great people.
That is okay. That's
hard.
An
for me.
Interesting way of looking at it.
Well, I guess if they're really, really intelligent and they know what they're doing exactly, and they're good at performing, then that could be true.
And maybe that was his ulterior motive all along, is to create a system where charlatans are actually helping the network, even though they think they're stealing.
Does seem a little it's an awkward theory, but
I mean,
well, I mean, I think that people who fail to genuinely create what other people want will lose money over time. So I think that the people who manage to continue to make more money are the ones who can consistently understand other people.
Well, I don't know if I want to get into theorizing about Craig Wright much more, but I have to ask, why doesn't he just move some coins? I mean, no one knows, I guess.
Well, because he doesn't want to be manipulated, and there isn't just because other people don't believe he's Satoshi, that's not a reason for him to prove that he's Satoshi. So,
but it's a reason for him to sue people.
But those people are saying that he's a fraud, and that's different from saying I don't know whether he is Satoshi, which is the correct, that's the position you should take if you haven't seen enough evidence. So
one is a character,
so they are
a statement about someone's character, which is defamatory, and the other is saying I simply don't have enough information to make that decision. Or from the evidence I've seen, I personally don't believe he is, which isn't defamatory at all.
And he is also he wants to create a precedent that in Bitcoin, I should say, that proof of holding keys is not proof of rightfully owning Bitcoins, because the keys could have been stolen. So he wants to he doesn't want to do something that would lead to people incorrectly concluding that he has proven he is Satoshi.
I get it. Yeah.
In a way that's different from what he thinks is the best way of establishing truth.
Because that's the never-ending fight. Is somebody says, "Show us your keys," he shows the keys, and then the next comment is, "Well, that's not proof because anybody could just steal the keys." So it's this constant fight of him trying to keep proving something that people will never believe anyway. So why waste your time trying to prove it?
That, or he's I was going to say
right.
that.
So he wants evidence to be evaluated in a court setting, not in a mob rule setting.
That's fascinating.
Which is what we would have if he gave in to the Twitter manipulators.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
So he could possibly prove then in a court of law. Yeah, that's something. That's something to think about. It really does put that is a perspective.
So, in your opinion, does Craig want to prove he is Satoshi?
I guess that's a tough one. You should ask him. But my guess is that for a long time he didn't want to prove that he was Satoshi, but he has now concluded that that is really the only option to, or the best option to make Bitcoin functional again. So. So I think that he does want to prove he's Satoshi.
That would also kind of go against filtering the most intelligent people into being investors. Because if he were to prove that he was Satoshi, that would undo a lot of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what would happen under different circumstances, because if he did just sign keys, then maybe that wouldn't do anything, because people would just say.
And he could have honestly lost them. If he is Satoshi, he could have just absolutely lost them. I mean, we've all done something stupid like that. And back then, when they were worth half a penny, maybe he honestly didn't even care if he's Satoshi. Maybe he's like, "Oops, recycled my computer. It's in a landfill."
Or purposely lost them.
Or purposely lost them. Yeah,
something like that.
I mean, there's just a lot of.
Well, I hope he didn't do that. That sounds like a pretty irresponsible inventor. I certainly would be. I would take it as a bad sign if the inventor of Bitcoin had lost most of his Bitcoins. To me, that sounds like not such a great invention if that happened.
Wouldn't that just be like a great ironic story about Bitcoin itself?
I mean, well, what you're saying is that, I mean, if what all of this is true, then there's so much irony in there already. I mean, you have to believe they're playing an ironic game on people. On people who are interested in cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, just a sec. Irony, a literary technique by which the full significance of a character's words or actions are clear to the audience or reader, although unknown to the character.
That's literary irony. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to have.
And Satoshi originally was just a literary character.
Or I mean, not to the audience, but I should say, I think we will learn that there's people will learn that there's more meaning to Craig's statements, then they can understand.
So if Craig
initially.
so let's say Craig never is able to prove, technically Satoshi is a literary character because it's technically not a real person until somebody's able to prove that they're him or her. And all we have to go by is what they put on forums.
Well, then,
which could have, which was a character that they
Yeah.
created to remain anonymous. So all we have to go by is a fictional created character that we don't know if what the person typing the words for Satoshi were real or were just words in a story that they were concocting as time was going on.
Interesting.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Why do you got to put that in my head?
We're all gonna be
God
messed
damn
up
it,
for a while.
dude. Now I'm going to be thinking about that.
It just makes
all night long.
It makes the Bitcoin story so much more interesting, and it makes me so much happier to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, maybe we should talk about my show now because we haven't even got to that yet.
Let's talk about your show. I also wanted to. I just want to talk about being a creator because you take so much. Seems like you take so much pride in your show. It's so well edited, and do you do all your own design and I guess animations? Are they animations? They are animations. You do everything yourself?
Yeah. I've gotten more. I've gotten better techniques over time. And I often do movie analyses or I mix stories together and I try to tell you about an idea that I want to convey through the story. Through my literary analysis of the story.
Is this did this start as just a hobby, or did you actually have a message you were trying to get out, or both?
Well, what I wanted was to connect to other Bitcoiners who knew that the situation was fucked up. Because from my perspective, everybody around me had been mind controlled by small blocks, which to me was crazy. And I knew that there were people who were not crazy out there. So my show was designed to connect with them. And it's designed to be something that is kind of outside the normal emotions of Bitcoin, which is very frenetic, crazy ups and downs. So that's why that's another reason for the hypnotic quality of the show, because that's kind of a contrast to the craziness of Bitcoin.
Okay, so you are obviously a narrative storyteller. You seem to really enjoy crafting these stories and taking a lot of time. And you've been around almost since the beginning, or you claim to have. And you know a lot of people who were around pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you've been following the chains as they've split and as they've taken different paths. Are you Satoshi? Can we just get that on the record right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay, great. Just want to clear that up, because that would be the ultimate. Like that, I don't know. I mean, not that you would tell me you admit that you are using hypnosis, so it's like, what better way? You're constantly hypnotizing people into believing that you're not Satoshi, and then
but
just changing things as you go.
But I use hypnosis in a literary way, where I show you what's going on if you're paying attention. So I would argue that my use of hypnosis is not nefarious, because the way that I construct the episodes makes it very, very obvious.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really.
No, I'm teasing you. I don't think you're actually
No,
hypnotizing
okay.
people into doing stuff.
No, well,
Sorry, that it's when we're on 3 different mics, it's hard for my sarcasm.
no, you're supposed to be really
get caught.
hypnotized when you watch the show. If you haven't been hypnotized, you should watch it again.
If you didn't eat 3 foot-long sandwiches by the time the show was over, then I didn't hypnose you well enough.
you should
gotta
watch it again and just allow the voice to lead you to wherever it takes you.
And if it doesn't work, watch it 3 or 4 more times. Don't mind the ads. I'm not getting paid for those.
Yeah, I think that the only reason that I'm not actually hypnotized when I'm watching your show is because I'm a filmmaker myself, and I know the tools of filmmaking, especially the ones that induce that sort of trance. So, but that was why when you tweeted that you were looking for sound effects, I sort of jumped at the opportunity. I thought I would enjoy helping tell that story, whatever it is that you're telling, because I like it when stories are told in a non-linear, more visceral way, if visceral is the right word. I guess maybe non-visceral way. And I think you do that quite well.
Really fast, can you plug your show just so people can jump over to it and give it a watch?
Okay, well, my show is called Bitcoin Stuff, and it follows some of my time in Bitcoin, and it's sort of like I'm trying to be a mirror of what I see in Bitcoin, and I process the information and try to show what I'm seeing in the form of a literary criticism.
And so sometimes we'll use other
Stories.
subject matters to tell that story.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite episode?
I'm still trying to get through, fully grasp everything you did on the Craig Wright one.
Well, there's a few,
okay, yeah.
Because I want to say half the time I feel like you're making fun of Craig Wright, and the other half of the time I feel like my impression is that you're saying he's a genius, that you're going to try to use his patterns and use his techniques yourself.
Well, I think, yeah. So he's doing a game where he's been playing the fool sometimes.
Yeah, he's Don Quixote. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do, at least in part in that episode, is reveal what he is up to if you haven't been paying enough attention. So yes, sometimes I make fun of him, but in reality, I think that people need to learn from him, and what he's trying to say is very important. And he's so far ahead that you pretty much have to learn what he knows in order to get to the point of being able to add value to Bitcoin on your own. At least that'll make you much better at it.
That episode, was that the one where you that's the one where you went into nChain's business model? Was that the same one?
Yeah.
Okay, that one was really good because at first I thought that when I first watched it, I laughed because I thought, wow, this is such a great satire. and then I think I watched it again, and then I realized that actually that is nChain's business model, probably, most likely, although no one really knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Well, I'm glad you liked it so much.
Yeah.
But that one is.
I mean, I actually originally.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say I didn't do a movie review on that one though.
No, Let's see, which movie review did I watch? Oh yeah, the one with Space Odyssey and Transformers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my favorite episode.
So-
Well, I'm not. I don't want to explain that one. You should
That
just
one you should just watch.
You should just go watch that one. Don't just start watching it and don't have any preconceptions.
And then one where you actually, the one where you started using your animated character, and I don't actually remember the entire episode, but I think you were talking very sincerely about everybody in Bitcoin being crazy. Or that's what I remember from it. I think it was a recent one, actually. It was like maybe just a few months ago.
Yeah, I've done two with my cartoon character, but the latest one is only available on streamanity.com. So, and I'm also only going to do future videos on Streamanity.
What is Streamanity?
A good question. That is a video streaming platform for BSV. So you can't watch videos unless you have BSV, and it is it's not ad based. You just pay microtransactions as you go through watching the video. So my episodes are between 5 and 50 cents.
So can I ask you about this? So is this to incentivize people who want to watch your content to actually use BSV? Is that what it is?
Well, now that first of all, it's a better business model for people to pay microtransactions to watch videos than for them to watch ads to watch videos. Because
and so for anybody who wants to know a little bit more, sorry, I'm on Streamanity right now, and it says it has a latest thing of videos, and one of them is Bitcoin stuff, and it says to watch it, it's an hour and 1 minute, it's 5 cents.
Yeah.
So it's giving you a price, so you know ahead of time when you click on it to watch, that's how much you're going to pay to watch that. And somebody right next to you, Blockchain Dance, for 14 minutes is charging $1.75 to watch the video. So everything is laid out pretty clearly.
Yeah. So first of all, wait, let me get back to what I was talking about. Because first of all, Streamanity is a better business model than YouTube, because if you are watching a video on Streamanity, you are the customer. Whereas if you're watching a video on YouTube, you are the product, and the advertiser is the customer. Mm-hmm. And
people need to understand that.
the Streamanity model inherently means that individual tastes will be satisfied, and there's a premium on finding what everybody wants to talk about. Whereas on YouTube, because the advertisers need to be, people can't get pissed off, right? The advertisers need to stay happy, and so there's an incentive for things to be less controversial. And
yeah, of course, and that's one of the main criticisms of YouTube, is that a lot of their content is skewing towards more mainstream. So, and then also censoring the controversial stuff because your advertisers don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So that does make sense to me. It does seem like a difficult beast to tame at this point, considering that most of the internet runs off advertisements. But I mean,
everything.
It's a nice thought.
Everything in BSV is an intelligence test. So people who are thinking, well, I think that thinking people will think that the other thinking people will all want to go to Streamanity first. So when they get there, there's going to be all of the intelligent people who left YouTube. They're going to be on Streamanity because it's a platform where you can talk about all kinds of different things more easily. And that's how Bitcoin adoption works. Because remember, I told you about that earlier. So YouTube is going to get dumber and dumber. There's going to be a brain drain out of YouTube, and it'll turn into idiocracy as the IQ differentially leaves for streamanity. So as the highest IQ people get to streamanity first, they're going to create content that's going to draw in the next IQ level. See, so
Do you watch other videos on Streamanity?
I haven't watched too much on it yet. So that is not from firsthand experience that I'm saying that it's more intelligent.
Curious.
That's my
I'm
analysis
curious.
of the business model.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my part to make it more intelligent.
I'm going to have to check it out.
So wait, there was a second part to your question.
Second part.
I don't remember what your question was earlier, but there was a little more that I didn't quite answer.
My question regarding, so to incentivize people to use BSV. No, you answered that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. There's more to it because yes, I would not want to now that the BSV economy is functioning well, I would not want to create something that was available not for BSV. Because what I would want to do is give people reasons to want to join the BSV economy. So future videos will require you to have at least a little BSV in order to watch them.
I feel like one of the things that we are noticing with Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash is there's this constant media battle to see who can market who can market better. And Bitcoin doesn't really do a very good job of it, but Bitcoin Cash is known for spending a lot of money to advertise. And with BSV, it seems like there is really no regard for the fact that even all of these exchanges delist BSV. It's like, okay, who cares? We don't really want that kind of exposure anyway. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, let me talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Now, advertisements are for consumer goods. So, like if you get an appliance or some food or something, the advertisement is there to tell you that the product is good, and when you get it, you can verify that it's good once you start to consume it. And that's kind of the nature of a consumer good, is that you can evaluate it objectively. And whereas an investment like a stock or a currency or land or something like that, these are all goods whose benefits accrue over the future. So they can't be objectively assessed. They have to be individually assessed by people who are foreseeing into the future and imagining what they're really going to be like in the future. And there's always a difference of opinion when investments are bought and sold, because the person selling it thinks that it's no good, and the person buying it thinks that it's good. Whereas with the consumer good, the whole idea is that the person selling it is supposed to have superior knowledge about the product, and is creating it for the consumer and can prove that it's good, right? Whereas if you're trading goods whose benefits only accrue over the future, then when you're buying, that automatically means that you think you know more than the other person, or I should say, both parties think they know more than the other. Just that one of them thinks that it's going to go down, and the other one thinks it's going to go up.
Yeah.
So, an advertisement for a crypto coin to me is a sign that the people involved in it don't understand what it is and what real value is, because they're actually going after people who are not going to be independent thinkers and who are not going to be assessing value. They're going after people who are going to treat the coin like it's a consumer good. So as if when they get it, it's going to be something that's automatically good, that they don't have to assess on their own.
It's an interesting theory. Yeah.
And conversely, the best genuine advertisement for a crypto coin is to fail to attract attention, or to say something that that may detract people, because that what you really want is people to get in who are thinking long term and who are doing their own individual thinking about the coin. So if create a barrier of entry that's an intelligence test to keep the dumbest people out, then that's actually attractive to the farthest thinking people. So to me, that's it's demonstrated opportunity cost. So if I am saying something that is kind of putting people off, and I also have something that's actually really good, better than what other people have, what I'll be able to do is consistently put people off, because I also have what they need. So, and because I can do that, I can start a contest between everyone to see who is the most off-putting, and over time,
isn't that just?
Excuse me.
Sorry, go ahead.
Over time, the people who have the highest costly signal, that will tend to match the value of what they're really hiding.
Isn't that just essentially negging?
Yes.
And isn't that usually what people do when they aren't confident in what they have to offer?
Well, I think that there are many different things that can be communicated, and there are different costs to different kinds of signals that say what the signal means. So to me, negging is a costly signal of hierarchy. So if you are higher in the hierarchy, then you can consistently treat people below you like they're beneath you in the hierarchy. And I think that hierarchy is an important human skill. So a costly signal of hierarchy is a reasonable thing that you would expect to find in the human mating dance.
Yeah, but usually negging is what somebody who is vastly inferior to the higher up on the food chain people have to do to try to manipulate people into believing that they're somehow better. So like Obama doesn't need to neg people because he has a really high IQ. He was, editor of the law review at Harvard. He's got this really strong background showing his intelligence, and then you have somebody like Donald Trump who constantly makes fun of people and is afraid to show his test scores and afraid to go to war and is really kind of a less than human being and convinces people to like him by constantly putting everybody else down.
Yeah, well,
So
I
don't
think
understand
that,
how that's a good business model in the long run, because eventually those people get shown for what they are because the product eventually falls apart. It may hold up for 5-10 years, but eventually their inferiority becomes apparent. Like what I think eventually will happen with Bitcoin or with BTC, because I think I agree with you on a lot of their faults, and I think they're propping it up to the world. They're on MSNBC, they're on this, they're on that. They're showing the world that they're this great thing, and I think eventually it's going to fall apart because their inferiorities, they're not going to be able to hide their inferiority anymore.
Okay, well, so first of all, I think that there's a big difference in what kinds of costly signals different people are attuned to. But I would still say that costly signaling is the only way of communicating reliable information between adversarial parties, because the cost inherently limits the signal. But there's a difference in what different people are attuned to look for, and that has to do with what the signal means. And so Obama wears a suit, and I would say that is a costly signal because people who aren't wealthy enough can't have a suit. So a suit doesn't really. So a suit is a way of limiting people. But that's just an example.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I don't.
So it's a subtle. So it's like a microaggression versus a macroaggression.
Yeah, and there's a difference, and so in the antlers game, which is antlers are a form of demonstrated opportunity cost. It's all the key is balance. So it's about finding. So like if you have too much signal, then there isn't enough left over to have a sustainable process behind it. So like a business, or like the buck's body, if we're talking about antlers, right? So too much signal means not enough body, and too little signal means not enough attention. So winning this game is always about figuring out the correct balance. So I think that it isn't that having the biggest signal always means that you're the winner, because you could have the biggest signal just because you made too much relative to what you actually have.
I think also that we're used to seeing big signals as winners just because of what we're conditioned to see in our world today. I don't think that's necessarily been true throughout history, throughout natural history or human history.
Well, costly signaling is it's a very common game in biology. So it's found everywhere. This is a very it's seen in all kinds of different contexts. And
I'm just talking about like in our lifetime, if we grew up in the era of TV and radio and film and the internet, we're used to seeing signaling as being we're used to seeing an imbalance in the favor of signaling, I think. But anyway, we are getting a little off topic. It's really fun. We're going to have to end this show at some point. So maybe we want to wrap it up with one more question. Or
Well, I mean, is there anything that you feel like you wanted to plug or talk about more that you didn't, that we kind of pulled you off track on? Because I know you wanted to, I know you felt you didn't have enough time to talk about your show, so I want to give you enough time, because we can easily split this up into 2 episodes.
Yeah, we sure can.
But if you want, if there's something that you missed that you really feel you want your audience or our audience to get from your show, I want to make sure that.
No, I think did a. No, I think your audience knows enough about the show, so now they should just go and start watching it. It's better if you start
4 or 5 times and eat 3 footlongs.
Yes.
Or you just don't start watching it at all, and you just be one of the dumb people who never watch.
Exactly.
It's better if you watch my episodes with no preconceptions, because they're all kind of little adventures.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Daniel, so much for being on the show, and I hope to have you again sometime.
And really fast, give us tell us where people can find you.
Yes, give us your Twitters and your
sure,
socials.
yeah. On Twitter, I am Daniel Krawisz, Krawizz, and you can also that's my YouTube name as well, and you can find my videos on Streamanity. Well, you can find one video that's nowhere else on Streamanity. That one is Look Up at the Sky, and you should definitely watch that one.
All right.
It only costs 25 cents.
You got to get some BSV in order to watch it, right?
It's a very doable price
and then
to watch
you also,
a 23-minute video.
You also publish articles that are available for purchase with BSV as well, right?
Yeah, if you watch... Well, so far I've just been publishing some through Twitter. So yeah, I've got some links to articles. There's also my old articles from way back that you can find on the NakamotoStudies.org page, and then there's also the Nakamoto Institute, and some of them are still there. And but yeah, I think my show is going to be the most interesting thing for most people. So just go and try some of those.
All right. Cool. Well,
Nice.
Again, Daniel Krawisz, thank you so much for being on the show, and I guess we're going to end it here.
Thanks a lot for inviting me.